Manchester United have one of the most esteemed academies in all of world football. From Sir Bobby Charlton and Dennis Viollet to Marcus Rashford and Alejandro Garnacho, Manchester United's academy has allowed the club to generate consistent revenue through player sales, build back and be crowned as European champions following disaster in Munich in 1958, and to include at least one academy graduate in every single one of their matchday squads for the last 85 years. Undoubtedly the academy's most remarkable achievement, though, has been the class of '92, when Paul Scholes, Ryan Giggs, David Beckham, Nicky Butt, Phil Neville and Gary Neville all graduated from their youth ranks and into the first team, with little more than 2 years separating the lot of them. Between them, they went on to register 3,450 appearances in the Manchester United first team, winning a combined 100 major trophies. Not bad. Almost 20 years later, just 2 years before Alex Ferguson retired, the Red Devils were quietly confident that they had another special group of players on their hands. The likes of West Ham, Newcastle, Liverpool and Chelsea, all highly respected academies in their own right, were put to the sword en route to the FA Youth Cup final, which is the most prestigious youth team competition in English football, where Warren Joyce's young men, or boys, overcame Sheffield United over 2 legs. Several of those players went on to break into the Manchester United first team, some have had successful careers elsewhere, whilst others failed to live up to their lofty potential for a variety of reasons. In this video, I thought I'd take a quick look at them all, how their careers have panned out, and what they're up to now. Without further ado then, who obviously was at Benfica at the time, here are Manchester United's 2011 FA Youth Cup winners. Where are they now? Sam Johnstone, Crystal Palace. Already very highly rated in 2011, though he had only recently turned 18, by that stage, Sam Johnstone had already played 14 games for England's under-17s and a handful for the under-19s. Tall, athletic and agile, Johnstone was being tipped by some as a future Manchester United and England #1, and he kept 3 clean sheets en route to the final. Edwin van der Sar's retirement at the end of that season came a little too early for an 18-year-old Johnstone to attempt the step up, replaced instead by David De Gea 3 years his senior. Meanwhile Johnstone went out on loan to Oldham and subsequently Scunthorpe. They were to be the first of 10 loan moves that Johnstone had away from Old Trafford, the last 2 both coming at Aston Villa in the Championship. Surprisingly, despite being on the cusp of the first team for quite so long, Johnstone never actually registered a competitive first team appearance at Old Trafford. He was sold for around £6.5 million to West Bromwich Albion, and in the 2020-21 season, he won the Players' Player of the Year and Supporters' Player of the Year awards as the Baggies were relegated from the Premier League. Having rejected a £10 million bid that summer, West Brom subsequently lost Johnstone for nothing the following summer when he joined Crystal Palace on a free transfer. Erik ten Hag reportedly tried to bring Johnstone back to Old Trafford last month, but he was rebuffed by Palace, and the Red Devils ended up taking his teammate Jack Butland on loan instead. Michael Keane, Everton. A local lad born in Stockport, Michael Keane joined the Manchester United youth ranks, along with his twin brother Will Keane, as an 11-year-old in 2004. Michael and Will were signed as academy scholars in 2009 at 16 and handed their first professional deals at 18, midway through their FA Youth Cup winning campaign. A centre-back, but played at right-back in both legs of the Youth Cup final, Keane registered his first team debut the following season in the League Cup. He spent the next 2 seasons on loan at Leicester City, Derby County and Blackburn Rovers before Sean Dyche and Burnley came calling in 2014. Manchester United's reserve team player of the year in 2011-12, Keane was recently reunited with Dyche at Burnley, who he joined for a potential £30 million in the summer of 2017. An Irish youth international when he won the Youth Cup, Keane switched his allegiances to England in 2012, and he won 12 senior caps for the Three Lions between 2017 and most recently 2020. Tom Thorpe, Macclesfield. The captain of a Manchester United under-18 team that won 2 Premier League 2 league titles and the FA Youth Cup, in a team which contained a future World Cup winner, Tom Thorpe was very highly thought of at Carrington. A really tidy ball-playing centre-back with the requisite leadership skills to be handed the armband, Thorpe never got too many breaks. On his first team debut, on loan at Birmingham City, he suffered knee ligament damage after just 14 minutes. The following season, Louis van Gaal handed Thorpe his Manchester United and Premier League debut against West Ham United, but it proved to be his only appearance for the club. Following brief stints at Rotherham United, on loan at Bradford City and Bolton Wanderers, and at ATK in the Indian Super League, Thorpe vanished from the face of the earth. Aged 25, it seemed as though Thorpe had retired from football, and he didn't return any of his former teammates and coaches' texts or calls. There was genuine concern among some for Thorpe, who represented England at every single level from the under-16s right through to the under-21s. Following 5 years off-grid though, just 2 weeks ago, 8th tier Macclesfield announced that they had signed the 30-year-old on a free transfer. Thorpe is yet to make his debut for the non-league side, but it is just nice to see him back in the game, and also fairly coincidental timing in relation to me making this video. Michele Fornasier, Monopoly. Currently playing for Monopoly with an I, not to be confused with Monopoly with a Y, which means the exclusive possession or control of the supply of or trade in a commodity or service, or indeed a board game based upon a similar premise, though, come to think of it, I'm not entirely sure how he would play for either of them. Michele Fornasier was captain Tom Thorpe's centre-back partner in Manchester United's Youth Cup final win. Poached by the Red Devils from Fiorentina, in a case which prompted the Italians to register a formal complaint against them with FIFA, Fornasier never stepped up to the first team at Old Trafford, instead signed by Sampdoria at the age of 19. Now aged 29, Fornasier has played fewer than 150 league games, 89 of them having come with Pescara between 2015 and 2019. He joined Monopoly in September 2021, who are currently 7th in Group C of Serie C, which is the 3rd tier of Italian football. Sean McGinty, Ayr United. Inspired by Tony Pulis, it would seem, Manchester United started 4 centre-backs across their back line as they marched to victory in the 2010-11 FA Youth Cup. McGinty completed the quartet as surely one of the world's tallest fullbacks, standing at 6 feet and 5 inches. Born in Maidstone, McGinty represented the Republic of Ireland at under 17, under 19 and under 21 level. Despite earning a professional contract at Old Trafford, McGinty never made a competitive appearance for the club, going out on loan instead to Morecambe, Oxford United, Carlisle United and Tranmere Rovers. Permanent moves to his next 2 clubs, Sheffield United and Rochdale, heralded just 2 appearances and 4 more loan moves, before he started to finally get regular game time in the National League for Aldershot Town. Since 2018, McGinty has been playing north of the border in Scotland, exclusively in the Scottish Championship, which is the 2nd tier of Scottish football. Following stints at Partick Thistle and Greenock Morton, McGinty joined Ayr United in 2021, where the big lad has already bagged a couple of goals from centre-back so far this season. Ayr are currently 3rd in the Scottish Championship, which means that there is a chance that, age 30, McGinty could play top-flight football for the very first time next season. Ryan Tunnicliffe, Portsmouth. The workhorse in this Manchester United midfield, Ryan Tunnicliffe always had great energy and industry in midfield, and rarely did he shirk a challenge. So crucial to Warren Joyce's side that he won the Jimmy Murphy Young Player of the Year award for the 2010-11 season, joining esteemed company like Paul Scholes and Ryan Giggs, and the following season, he made 30 first-team appearances on loan at Peterborough United in the Championship. Peterborough, at that time, were managed by Alex Ferguson's son Darren, and the following season, Tunnicliffe was part of the first-team squad at Old Trafford. When he made his senior debut against Newcastle United, he is said to have won his father £10,000 on a bet that he had made on his son representing the Red Devils 10 whole years earlier. Only one more Manchester United first-team appearance followed, but Tunnicliffe has since carved out a very respectable career for himself, most of it spent in the Championship with the likes of Fulham, Millwall and Luton Town. In 2021, Tunnicliffe left Luton to drop down to League One with his current club Portsmouth. Paul Pogba, Juventus. Considered by many to be the most talented member of this squad, that has proved to be a very wise assessment, since for all of his critics, Paul Pogba has enjoyed a marvellous career in the sport. Never sent out on loan, Pogba played 7 times for Manchester United in all competitions in the 2011-12 season, but unimpressed by that, and particularly unimpressed, reportedly, as some of the players who Fergie started ahead of him in midfield, Pogba decided not to sign any of the new deals that he was offered at Old Trafford. Well aware of his talents, Alex Ferguson seemed to be particularly hurt, bitter, and indeed critical of Pogba after his departure, but joining Juventus proved to be a masterstroke. He made 37 appearances in his double-winning debut campaign in Turin. He was the best player at the FIFA Under-20 World Cup the following summer, and he proceeded to win the prestigious Golden Boy Award. Manchester United made Pogba the most expensive footballer of all time when they re-signed him in 2016, but though there were moments of genius and purple patches of form, Pogba was either never properly utilised or wasn't fully committed back at the club. The reality is probably a combination of the two. A World Cup winner in 2018, Pogba left Manchester United after 6 years last summer, rejoining Juventus on a free, but he is yet to make his second debut for the crisis club in Turin due to a meniscus tear to his right knee. Jesse Lingard, Nottingham Forest. A man who is perennially referred to online as being a wonder kid and an up-and-coming youngster, a joke the origins of which I am never quite sure. I can only assume that it is because of pundits referring to him as that when he was already into his mid-20s. Back in 2011, Jesse Lingard really was a wonder kid and an up-and-coming youngster. Signed by Manchester United at the age of 7, Lingard would have to wait until the 2014-15 season to make his first-team debut, following loan spells at Leicester City, Birmingham City, and Brighton and Hove Albion. And that solitary appearance was followed by 6 months on loan at Derby County. The 2015-16 season was Lingard's breakout campaign, as he made 40 appearances in all competitions and scored the winning goal in the FA Cup final. A regular at Old Trafford for the next 5 seasons, Lingard was an excellent servant to Manchester United, without perhaps ever having been good enough to be a regular starter if they wanted to compete for the biggest trophies. Capped 32 times by England, and a favourite of Gareth Southgate before falling out of favour at Old Trafford, Lingard joined newly promoted Nottingham Forest in the summer, in a move which prompted widespread criticism since he turned down West Ham to make it. Incidentally, Forest are currently above West Ham in the Premier League table, though the Hammers did just batter Forest 4-0 in a game that Lingard didn't even start. Giuliano van Velzen, Paya 2014. Possibly the least well-known 2011 FA Youth Cup winner at Manchester United, Giuliano van Velzen is the only member of their starting 11 that, I must admit, I have zero recollection of. Also the youngest player in that team, so clearly very highly rated, Van Velzen joined the Red Devils after being released by Ajax. In the 2012-13 season, Van Velzen went on loan to United's feeder club, Royal Antwerp in Belgium, but instead of being brought back into the first-team fold upon his return, he was sold to Utrecht. A decade later, it would be fair to say that Van Velzen has had an unusual career, playing in the Eredivisie and the Eerste for Utrecht, Volendam and Roda, before returning to England with Crawley Town in League 2, where he made just 4 appearances and went on loan to non-league Aldershot Town. He spent 2 seasons back in the Netherlands with Telstar from 2020 to 2022, before joining Paya 2014 last summer. Paya 2014, as I suppose their name suggests, were founded in 2014 and are a fairly obscure team with a 3,828 capacity stadium who only won promotion from the 3rd tier of Cypriot football last season. Given that Van Velzen is still only 28 years old, it seems like a bizarre move, but, good luck to him. At least the weather's nice. Ravel Morrison, DC United. The reason Paul Pogba wasn't universally considered to be the most talented teenager at Manchester United in 2011 was because of a certain Ravel Morrison. Supposedly described by Alex Ferguson as the most talented 15-year-old that he'd ever seen, Morrison was already training with the Manchester United first team at that age and humiliating world-class defenders. In the 2011 FA Youth Cup final, Morrison played almost as a striker, or at least as a second striker, and in the second leg, which Manchester United won 4-1, he scored 2 goals. The only player in that team who had already registered his first team debut, Morrison made 1 first team outing in the 2010-11 season, and 2 in 2011-12. It was with a heavy heart then, convinced that Morrison wasn't mentally equipped to make it at the highest level, despite all of his talent, or at least not yet at that age following a series of disciplinary incidents, that Ferguson allowed him to join West Ham in January 2012. For a brief period under Sam Allardyce, which included a fantastic solo goal against Tottenham Hotspur, it looked as though Morrison was finally starting to put it all together. Unfortunately, that didn't last long, and he has since become a bit of a journeyman, enjoying, well, to varying degrees, spells in Italy, Mexico, Sweden, the Netherlands, and the United States. Last summer, after leaving Derby County, former teammate and manager Wayne Rooney took Morrison with him to DC United, where he earns almost $918,000 a year. DC United have played 1-1-1 so far this season, scoring 2 injury time goals in an extraordinary 3-2 win against Toronto FC at the weekend, but Morrison was axed from Rooney's squad for the first game of the season, permanently according to reports, which means that another sale or contract termination would appear to be imminent. Will Keane, Wigan Athletic. Tipped to become Manchester United's future number 9 by an awful lot of people, and for very good reason, Will Keane was a remarkable centre-forward at youth team level. A regular for England from under 16 to under 20 level, Keane scored in both legs of Manchester United's 2011 FA Youth Cup final win, bagging 1 goal in the first leg, which ended in a draw, and 2 in the second. In 17 games that season, Keane scored 16 goals, having already won the Jimmy Murphy Young Player of the Year award the previous season. In the 2012-13 season, Keane was expected to be on the fringes of the first team squad, but he suffered a devastating cruciate ligament rupture, ruling him out for 15 months. Loan moves to Wigan, QPR, Sheffield Wednesday, and Preston followed, but Keane was a shadow of his former self, and in February 2016, he suffered another 7-month setback. In the summer of 2016, convinced that injuries had got the better of him and scuppered his once enormous potential, Manchester United sold Keane for a reported £1 million to the greatest club on the face of the earth. That's right, Hull City. A few months later, he ruptured the cruciate ligament in his knee yet again, sidelining him for another 15 months. When Keane returned, well, he wasn't very good, and I was actually there when he scored his only goal in 26 games for Hull City, away at Burton Albion. He has since resurrected his career at Wigan Athletic though, where he was the top scorer in League One with 26 goals last season, and he is Wigan's top scorer once again this season as they battle relegation in the Championship. Keane might not have hit the heights once expected of him, now age 30, but given the injuries he's suffered, he has shown remarkable resilience to still be playing professionally, let alone in the second tier of English football. That was Manchester United's 2011 FA Youth Cup final winning 11, but now a quick word for the substitutes. Goalkeeper Joseph Cole joined Derry City in January 2013, but he never played for the club and appears to have retired 6 months later. Centre-back Alberto Masacci also retired very young in 2017, following a couple of seasons playing in Serie B. Left-back Zeki Friars and Tyler Blackett are both still active, though Blackett is currently without a club. Meanwhile, Friars plays for Eskilstuna in Sweden. Diminutive wide man Larnell Cole has spent the last few years playing non-league football and now plays for 7th tier Warrington Town. Withdrawn forward Tom Lawrence joined Rangers from Derby County last summer. And finally, backup centre forward John Coffey, who Manchester United paid £1 million to sign as a 14-year-old, retired in 2020 at the age of 27, following a brief stint playing in the Philippines. All of that means that not a single member of Manchester United's 2011 FA Youth Cup winning side, heralded as the future of the club at the time, are still playing at Old Trafford. But, oddly enough, guess who started at centre-back for their opponents Sheffield United in both legs of that final? That's right, current Manchester United captain Harry Maguire. That is it for today's video, but thank you all very much as ever for watching. I hope that you enjoyed it. Hit the like button if that was the case. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments, and make sure that you are subscribed and have notifications turned on for both HITC Sevens and my backup channel, both of which should be on your screens now. You can also find me on social media, on either Twitter or Instagram, via the username @HITC Sevens on both, should you wish to do so.